Haunted Mansions on Disney.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I will say this: overall, I like the old one more. However, I think that there are certain things about the new one that I like vastly better. For one thing, the initial setup is better, and the other thing is the lead actor. His name is Ben Mathias, I believe.
Okay.
Um, he does an awesome performance. Uh, like just far and away, like way more emotion than Eddie Murphy like could ever give in the original. Um,
What do you?
however,
I was trying to do an
I
Eddie
think
Murphy impression, but that one bombed horribly. It went to what's his name? Seinfeld. What's the
oh
deal with the
yeah.
haunted house?
Now what's the deal with the haunted house here? I mean,
Jerry,
yeah.
they got a new haunted house out right now. It has Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito? Yeah, Danny DeVito. What is he doing in the haunted house movie?
He was he wasn't bad. Like him and Tiffany Haddish were fine. I just so the general to give anyone who hasn't seen either of these movies yet. So the Haunted Mansion movies are basically like are based off a ride in was it Disney World or Disneyland?
Disneyland.
Disneyland, right? And the idea is it's based off this ride. You're in a haunted mansion and it's the spooky vibes. It's a perfect Halloween rolled up into like one kind of ride. And much like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, they try to capitalize on the success of that and
Yeah.
try to
But Eddie Murphy was not
come up with
enough.
no,
Eddie Murphy was
yeah,
not enough to carry hard, and that we know the rest of that story. But welcome back,
yeah.
everybody. Welcome to the podcast. We are back after a long ass hiatus.
Hello,
We're gonna try to do this more regularly, like probably every Saturday, if that works out for you,
yeah,
Charlie.
bet,
And if they're on the same time around lunch
gotcha,
for me.
gotcha.
I had my dessert and I had my coffee, which my with my protein powder. So before this, I was at my grocery store, right? It's called Winco. Really
Uh huh.
great prices, rock bottom overall. But like everyone goes there on the weekend to get their stuff done. And the issue about that is that they don't staff enough people at the cashier registers to like get enough people through because the people who go to Winco, right? They buy in bulk. Like I'll spend like $50 like for a week, you know? Like I'll go week to week
Hmm.
now because I used to go every 2 weeks, but then I kind of figured out like I was spending more money on food than I really needed to, because I would just put it inside the freezer, forget about it because that's what I do. Right now I'm just going week to week and then that's it. But man, it took like at least an hour. My frozen vegetables defrosted while I was waiting in line. That's how slow like some of the stuff was and like how much groceries like people had. Like this lady in front of me like had the entire cart stacked to her height, and she's like 5'4". So she had overfolded her cart to 5'4", and then underneath she had more stuff.
Jesus.
And then before that, I was cleaning up my apartment, and I was cleaning my floors, and I think I inhaled a lot of the fumes because I didn't turn on my air conditioning before, because that's what I typically do is I'll turn it on before to get air circulating in, but I forgot to do that and I
Yeah.
poured the hot water into the bleach bucket and then started doing my stuff. But yeah. Oh, speaking of bleach,
Uh-oh.
did you finish the latest bleach season?
Not yet,
No.
but, I've liked it so far. I mean, I've also read all of it, so I know what
Fair
happens as
enough.
well, so,
What's the
you
latest
know,
episode did you have you watched?
the one let's see, trying to remember here. Just going Crunchyroll real fast and look it up.
Oh, you're searching straight,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I'll say Bleach is probably the best one out of like every single one that I watched. Like that's consistent, you know. Art style's there, attention to detail, action, like everything is consistent enough where it's like I don't mind that it's being put on like half a year, like production schedules, you know, where it's like okay, take
Oh,
a
yeah.
break, go back on, and then see stuff like that. But yeah, it's been kind of rough in terms of like just watchability because my brain's been kind of fried because I've been just kind of like background listening to One Piece, you know, because like One Piece is one of those
Yeah.
kind of things where depending on like the arc and episodes, you're able to like stop and then just kind of put on the background because nothing really else happens, right? It's a lot of just like gas and like readers at the end of the day, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But
Bane.
yeah, I don't remember if you ever caught up to Gear 5 in the anime.
Oh, I saw it.
Oh, you saw it?
I I
Okay.
I've stopped watching, but I check in to see the clips from here and there. I just read from now on mainly with that. But I'll probably when I guess the manga ends, I'd give it once One Piece has
Caught
sort of
up.
figured out their
But that's
yeah,
the
caught
thing, though.
up
I don't
and
think they're gonna get caught up like in time. Like at this point, right? Like I'd say start from the beginning and redo everything. Because it's
yeah.
been long enough where you do have the higher quality stuff and like that. Because some of their early edits are really really bad, and I'm just kind of like, can't really sit through this. Because if I'm trying to be a visual person right now, you really ruin it with your shitty editing and overlay skills in Photoshop and Premiere.
Mhm. Yeah, right.
But yeah.
Um
Oh, back to the
yeah,
other reason
so
why I wanted to do the podcast this week is because Castlevania Nocturne was not
oh
a
yeah.
fan of the ending.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said that. I mean, I on my end, I was like, I kind of expected it because it leads into Symphony of the Night.
Yeah,
In my, so I just kind of figured like, okay, that obviously leads into that.
yeah.
This makes sense in my head, but I understand like, well, you explained why you were
Yeah.
upset with it. Let's
Major
get your
spoilers.
side.
Okay, so major spoilers for the end of Castlevania Nocturne. Okay, so that's your warning right there, folks. That we're just gonna jump right into it. So the ending of Nocturne, right, has the return of Alucard. He basically, my question is like, they're in France at this point, right? This motherfucker flew across the English Channel just to bail out Richter and Maria. Like, come on.
I mean, look, I mean, like, it's conveniently timed that he'd be there right when that's happening. Like, don't get me wrong. Um, but I also it's like it kind of makes sense if you think like, okay, well, obviously he's not the only. That's just, fuck, man. Like, my biggest problem with this show, right,
See, exactly.
is
You have
that
problems. You have problems with the show, and this is
I,
not to be mean. It's just kind of like I was just ready to move on from like from Trevor and that storyline, because like we've gone like definitely like a couple generations of Belmonts in. I kind of would have loved to see more flashbacks of like the grandpa and whatnot.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they had another, I don't know, 2 to 4 episodes just to flesh out certain things, like for instance, like how Richter ended up with the mom and the I can't remember their names. I only look at the
No,
character.
I'm pretty sure because he was originally in. They're originally going to whatever to escape from the guy who killed the mom. And
Hmm.
then I guess he kind of just ended up with them because they're like vampire hunters as well.
Oh yeah.
And like
Well,
even the grandpa said it like that bitch made me a promise like she wouldn't tell you who I was and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, kind of too late for that, buddy.
yeah. I mean, they also could address that in season two, like kind of flesh out that a bit more if
Yeah,
they wanted to.
I just
Um,
I think that's my main concern is just like some of the writing just feels a bit rushed. It's like we're trying to burn through
yes.
our wick at this point. We are burning at an extreme rate that the animators have fully switched over to they definitely fully switched over to the what's it called, the American motion picture models, where you could definitely tell some of these are like on sliders,
Yeah,
where
I've seen that.
it doesn't feel like quite right when compared to the first season, because the first season definitely had hand drawn animation in it. I don't remember if there were a lot of sliders near the end in season 4, but there was like odd moments where I kind of felt like this is a real production question mark because it kind of felt like an abridged series for some reason. Maybe it's just the way like certain things like they ease in and out of like movements and stuff like that, but you can definitely tell like it's got that American motion picture like 2D, but like the technology wise, it's really impressive. It's really impressive
Mm,
that they are able to do these high quality detailed models, but it just doesn't feel right. Some of the motion doesn't really like feel like it's supposed to be there. It kind of felt like we are watching like a puppet and like or a bridge series. Like things are just not moving at the right speed. But that just might be me because animators like we look at things differently. You know?
mhm. Yeah, I mean, from a technical standpoint and from an animation standpoint, I mean, I I gotta say, I mean, it was fucking pretty. I mean, the choreography was great, motion was great, um, the effects itself were great. It's just we've come to such a technical level, I think, now in terms of animation series and movies and in general. Like, I feel like with movies and shows in general, like the visual quality, like if you put in the time and effort, it's gonna look great. But I think the real tricky thing is the writing. I think that's overall like that's what really separates like a good looking show from like a great show in a
Yeah.
sense like that. And I'm not saying like all of not Castlevania Nocturne's writing is bad or anything like that, but I think it just suffers from pacing issues
Yeah.
and I just like the main villain, spoilers by the way
Yeah.
again, the
Spoilers,
main
as
villain,
always.
Erzabet, is like we only see her like I get it, like they wanted to do something similar to Firelord Ozai, where like
Yeah.
they mention her a bunch, and you're like building up the suspense,
Mhm.
and then when we finally see her, she's like almost got this holy look to her,
Mhm.
and that's fine, but it's just like I don't know what happened with the audio with her, but it sounded like she was like away from the mic when she talked a lot of the time. It sounded like that to me,
That
and that
could
kind of ruined it.
that could be just for general production thing because I don't know like
Yeah,
how where they mix it. I don't remember which company dubs it, but a lot of actors from at this point, right, just do it from home because it's easier, right? You just record
yeah,
your lines over Audacity or something like that, export it as a WAV file for the person to do it. They'll run everything through. It might just be a Netflix sound compression that they run over it because I know Netflix like will output like a certain master for streaming, right? Because
mhm,
you get your final like you have your mix, right? You have your mix, you're adding sound effects, lines, dialogue, but like at the end of the day, you have like your final like one audio timeline. Sometimes Netflix does this weird thing. I believe that they will adjust audio levels post after the mix, which is kind of like why? And
oh,
then you literally could just go back and just say, hey, like just go at this time code over here and here, raise this over here. But it could be just a directorial issue rather than like or a technology issue on their end
yeah,
rather than like just
mhm,
a direct the mic issue, you know? 'Cause like
yeah,
I said before, a lot of people record at home, like we do now. Like people just hop on Zoom, they'll have their microphones, they'll be like, okay, you gotta read this line between 40 to 50 seconds right here. And then they try that, and then director will go through them and say, like, hey, can you have more emphasis on this, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah. So depending
hmm,
on like what you're doing and what rates you're charging, because a lot of times they'll pay per line, in dubbing at least.
yeah,
But for this one, this is like American anime, so I'm assuming that they recorded these lines before, and I guess they either one did not go back and redo it because sometimes they're like, okay, yeah, it looks good, right? But we could redo this right now,
yeah.
if that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's just like the production's, like, disjointed maybe, like, if
Yeah,
that's the way to put it, like, there's just it goes passes through a lot of hands, and it's kinda like some stuff can get mixed up, and I understand
yeah,
that, like, from her recording, I'm
yeah.
obviously, like, not saying, like, "What the fuck?" But, it's just kinda like,
Yeah, and a lot of
"Oh,
times, like audio stuff, like it depending on the contract, right, you'll be like, "Okay, we have you listed for, like, X money per line, blah, 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 and then if we need to re-record, we'll pay you X amount," but sometimes they're just like, "We'll just roll with it because it sounds good enough," you know? There
yeah,
is a certain standpoint where it's like, yeah, some people might just think, yeah, or it could have just been a mix-up where, like, she did re-record those lines, but they never input it into the final, thing, which would be unprofessional at best, you know, because like it's like you had these lines over here. What the hell happened to them? You know, it's
Yeah.
and also it's one of those things like remote work, right? All these people probably are either at a very small office or somewhere at home on their computer and like everyone's working remotely. So like there's not a lot of communication in terms of like um going in and out of the office, right? Because if you're in the office, you just go up to your coworker and the desk over and be like, "Hey, what's the update on this?" You know, because like your production manager will most likely be like, "Hey, what's going on here, here, and here," and like kind of coordinate. That's what you do need like
Yeah.
producers for. Like producers like will manage your entire thing. They will know like how long you need to finish a project because a lot of times what happens is that projects fail because the management isn't there because everyone's like, "Oh, we'll just work on our own time." It's like, "No, you have a timeline you need to work with." I think that's what everyone kind of forgets is that you are on someone else's time.
Yeah. You're a part of a team, and you just gotta manage your shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like going back to the problem with pacing in that, yeah, so it's just they kind of rush her introduction a bit, it feels like. And she's definitely like visually speaking an interesting threat. I think that towards the end I really found her to be a very interesting villain towards the end of it. But really it's like her second in command who kind of runs the show.
Yeah.
I love her. She was kind of cool. Um
I think the whole entire part, like Vampire Messiah, is like, oh, I am Vampire Jesus.
yeah,
It's
right.
kind of interesting to me because, like, yeah, it's like at this point, because like they explain a lot of like kind of lore, vampire lore, I guess, like in the first couple seasons of like the first Castlevania, because like, oh, vampires are basically highly evolved predators. That's why they go out at night. That's why like they don't like the smell of garlic, blah blah blah, because their senses have been enhanced. And like, I'm kind of like, yeah, the next step out of this at this point is like, yeah, try to get rid of the sun, which is basically the plot of that Skyrim DLC.
Yeah. And I just wished that I don't know, like it was kind of weird for me because I was thinking about like, okay, so why did she wait until now to do the eclipse if she had the power
Mm-hmm.
to do it all this time? Like
Um,
maybe did you have to amass more of an
yeah.
army? Was that the idea? Okay.
Maybe.
Cuz I'm
That's
just
I think they'll probably explain it in season 2, you know, where it's like, oh, like one of the other final parts of the ritual, like at the end of the day, is you need the blood of someone, you know, blood of Christ or something like that, and really, really like
right.
stupid, you know?
Yeah, yeah, something like just like some MacGuffin to explain
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, this.
Dude, I swear if they actually
Um,
do that, I'm just gonna just drop the series because I'm not a
I'll stick
fan of that.
around.
Because like, oh, here's a MacGuffin, blah blah blah. It's like here like like here's the thing, right? Because like in Steel Ball Run, the body of Christ, right, the skeleton, like it serves a
Yeah, yeah.
purpose overall in the main story. It's not just like oh, like we're just we're going like a horse race across America just for no strange reason at all, you know?
Yeah. No, no reason. Well, it's because like, here's the thing, right? The reason, well, I love Steel Ball Run for a lot of reasons, but mainly because it sets up, like, I love simple plot overall, but then like it gets more interesting as it goes
More
on. Like, for instance, like
unfolds, yeah.
more unfolds. Yeah, it's a race. It's literally just we're racing across the country to
million
see who wins.
dollars, and then
million
maybe daddy would
dollars.
love me again if I won, if since I'm now
Yeah,
if
since
I was
I'm a
crippled.
dickhead cripple. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, so like simple plot, you understand why the characters are wanting to do this, and then further mysteries unfold and things start to like change, the status quo starts to get tweaked a bit. You're like, "Huh,
Mhm.
interesting." Um, but yeah, so I love Steel Ball and like you were saying before, it's just, it's just simple straightforward.
Yeah, but back
But
to
yeah,
Castlevania.
yeah,
Back to
but
Castlevania.
Castlevania, right. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there. But I was wondering, like, talking about characters wise, I was wondering what are your thoughts on certain characters like Annette? How do you feel about Annette? Because I know that she was changed from the original lore
Yeah, here's the
of
thing,
the
I
games.
like alright, just go down the list. Let's just go down the
Sure.
list of Richter. Richter I like his character arc. I like it near
Yeah.
the end, but like the first one's kind of like he's a snot nosed brat. Like he doesn't even really know what he's fucking doing, to be honest. Like he's just
Yeah.
along for the ride. Maria, like, is a strong female protagonist. Like that, what else are you gonna say about that? And then she kind of gets weaker
And
at
then
the
there's
end to be like at
and then
you
there's a
know
little twist with what goes on with, like, her
yeah with her
family, yada, yada, yada.
yeah. That was
Yeah.
interesting to me. I like that personally because I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like you brought something up that I would not have thought about, you know.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
the Bayou sorceress, like, yeah, it's just kind
Annette,
of
yeah.
there. And then you have the guy who became a monster. Spoilers, but yeah, the guy who became a
Yeah.
monster and
Great
sings
voice, jeez. Yeah.
Ave Maria.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, he was, well, the moment I saw him, I'm like, "Oh, this motherfucker's gonna die,"
He's gonna
or
die.
some
He's gonna
yeah,
die.
100%. I'm like, that's what I'm thinking, like, if they had another episode to maybe, like, flesh out a bit more of their characters and,
Yeah,
like, maybe, like, have more time together, then it'd be more impactful when he does go, but it's like, well,
he kind of
you
dies like
gotta
what
move it
3
along.
episodes in.
Like, yeah, the first
Yeah.
like, the 2nd or 3rd episode, yeah,
Because like,
and,
they try to storm the chateau, and then everything just goes tits up, you know?
well, they were trying to spy originally. They wanted to understand what was going on, why who was there, and what's going on, and Annette kinda see so this is for Annette's character. She was a prior slave, and
Mhm.
one of the vampires that was there was her master a long time ago in, like, this remote island. I forget the name of it. But she was like,
I thought it
"Oh,
was the
this motherfucker."
Dominican Republic or something like that, or
Was it the
Haiti.
Dominican
It
Republic?
was
I
either
thought it was
yeah.
a no, it
No,
was, Saint Germain, or it was called, like, Saint Germain,
it was
named
yeah,
after
it's French Haiti. That's
yeah,
pretty much what
yeah,
it was,
and
yeah.
yeah, and so she was like, "Oh, this bastard's here," and then she gets worked up, and then they find them, and then they're like, "Oh shit, we gotta go," and then in the
Yeah,
process, her friend tragically dies.
but
Well,
yeah,
or does he? And then yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so Annette as a character, I looked at the reviews for this, just online, and holy shit, there is a big fucking disconnect between the critics and the audience,
And
'cause I feel like I'm in the minority here because I actually really like the show, but it
alright,
seems like to me everyone hates Annette as a character,
let's read
and
some let's read some of the
yeah,
reviews. Let's do,
it's just, like, wild.
Castlevania Nocturne reviews. All right, let's see this. Well, it's gonna be oh shit, it's like solid. It's a solid 2.9.
Yep.
All right,
Yep,
so
yep,
this is
yep,
from
yep, yep.
Google though. This is from Google.
Yeah.
7.6
Rotten
out of
Tomatoes,
10 on IMDb, 9 on IGN, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is
but then check
interesting.
the audience reviews.
And then yeah, all right, let's okay, so first of all, you really shouldn't be trusting Rotten Tomatoes. That's just my go-to just rule of thumb.
Mhm.
Never trust Rotten Tomatoes because some of these people are paid to review it, obviously,
Right.
in terms of
Mhm.
this, and they're like, yeah, it's good, blah blah blah, blah like doing that, you know. But you also need to look like on who is actually critiquing this because some of these people like are just like some people from like third party papers that they just get reviews from.
Yeah.
And then audience score doesn't mean jack shit to be honest, like at the end of the day, because it's like, you
It's
know, it's
just
just like
initial
it's
reactions.
just initial reactions, you know? And
Yeah.
it's only the strong people who have an opinion about it. So I would say give or take that's a 10% plus right there, you know, because this is the people
Yeah.
who like wanted to do bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
I
find the
I'm
actual
curious
reviews though.
I'm curious if there's a site that you can't post if you're, like, say, like, if you even if you're a critic or a non-critic, like, if there's, like, a if there should be a
Hello,
site that has, like, a sign
I'm the nostalgia critic.
hello, that has, like, a sort of like a what's it called I'm looking for? Like
Like an actual
a
like
hold on review.
name and backing, you know, like you actually have experience like in film.
Well,
That's in the
no,
half the equation, you know.
what I mean is, like, if there would be cool if there was a site that, like, you couldn't do a review on the show until, like, X amount of time has passed. Like, I would say, I don't know, like, 2 weeks or some shit, like, just give it time for people to think about it and really, like, absorb it and then post something about it so we get, like, less emotional reviews is what kinda what I'm thinking of. I don't know, that's kinda my thought because it's like it avoids the problem of people having that just like initial like, what the fuck? This is, but I mean, I don't know. It's people probably would forget about it and not care, and they probably wouldn't post about it if that's the case then. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people who, like, post, like, this stuff, like, it's very long-winded paragraphs. They
Yeah.
they do they do go on about, like, the writing being bad here and there, and I'm like, "Yeah, you do have a point there, it just doesn't feel like a complete show," you know? But
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of it's just, like, great animation and, like, just bad writing, and then that's it. There wasn't really anything else. Like, some
Yeah.
people didn't like the French Revolution aspect of it. I was like, "Well,
I love the French
it's like,
Revolution
what
aspect.
else you
I
gonna
think it's
do?"
good.
Like, the only
Yeah.
way people are gonna be happy to let stuff like that is like, "Oh, we bump it up to, like, New York," or something like that, and, like, because that's how people act, you know? Like, it's
Yeah.
they have to be the most important people at that time, like, "Oh, I can't relate to a fucking vampire hunter, blah, blah, blah." It's like,
Yeah.
"Well, can you really?" At the end of the day,
That's not
and
the
you have an
idea. Oh, yeah.
experience hunting vampires, so, like, then it's fantasy. Shut the fuck up and sit down. Go watch something else if you don't wanna
Yeah.
watch it, you know?
And, like, you'd be focusing on the wrong parts because it's more like his struggle to find a purpose to fight for
I
and
know.
find people to care for, because you have to experience such a loss. And, I mean, I could definitely tell you, I'm sure that there's gonna be some people saying, like, "Oh, this is just a repeat of Trevor's story at the start of season 1."
Well,
And they are
yeah, this is
they
kind
are
of the
very
basic ass.
similar,
It's just the basic
but
story, right?
yeah, no, it's like they are, but there are certain, I think, unique things about both characters that differ from each other. For
Yeah.
instance, Trevor I would say he's like I don't know how old he is in the start of Castlevania. I think he's like in his 30s. I want to say
Who,
somewhere. He's
Trevor
like more eight.
or Richter?
Trevor,
Trevor,
Trevor.
I would say maybe late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, and then Richter's like I would say early 20s,
Yeah,
something
he's
like
just
that.
he's
He's
baby.
younger.
He's like
Yeah, he's a baby
23.
boy.
And
Yeah,
then it's
like
gonna be anime shonen protagonist like he's 15.
yeah, like holy fucking
It's
what?
a buff 15-year-old.
Um. Yeah, man. JoJo JoJo 15-year-old. Um, yeah, so I think that they both have certain character traits that differ from each other. But I would say overall as a start, what's so weird because Castlevania season 1 is like more so Castlevania season 1 part 1 and then like Castlevania season 2 is
2
Castlevania season
season
1
1,
part
part
2,
2, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if they combined season 1 and 2, I
'Cause
feel like that would overall be
I'm
like,
pretty sure
"Whoa."
you can call me out on this,
That
but
was
I
gonna get
wasn't, like, the end of part 1 when they find Alucard, right?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, so yeah, pretty much. It is part 1, part
yeah,
2. Second cur,
yeah,
as some people would call it. Mhm.
yeah. It's more of like a movie than it is, a first season, and
Yeah.
I feel like this one has it's a good ass movie, but this one has this weird in between shit where if it's like, I don't know, like, yeah, if you gave it 12 episodes at the start, I feel like it would have been more fleshed out.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my big takeaway. It's like if you had just flipped out a few more character uh interactions and like sort of give us more time with
Yeah.
certain like Richter because people complain like Annette kind of took a lot of the show over from him.
Yeah,
And
'cause
I
it's
mean,
kinda like well, here's the thing,
yeah,
though, it's like angsty teenage boy, what are you gonna do with that, though, you know? It's like,
yeah, right.
ugh, angst, anger,
Yeah, exactly.
moodiness. You know,
Right,
it's like
exactly.
there's not enough
My
to write about
mother,
it. My mother's
I loved
dead.
her. He killed him. No.
I will have my
How dare he?
revenge. Ugh,
I'll find him. I'll kill him. Oh no, I'm
Maria.
afraid. Oh no, now I'm not
Metal
afraid. And
Gear. Metal
I will
Gear.
I will say that I think it was episode 6 when he found, spoilers again, his magic back. That shit was
I think that was
whoa.
hype.
That,
That was a hype
that
scene.
was pretty fucking sick. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but overall, my opinion on Castlevania Nocturne is that it's a good start. People just need to calm down. And there are problems with it, but I feel like a lot of those problems will be ironed out by season 2. And
Yeah.
I look forward to it. I mean, I'm still a little hyped for the show. So, and they already announced that I think they were doing a season 2. So,
They leave it off on a cliffhanger. They have to at least
yeah, I
finish
know.
season
Yeah.
2, even if it
And
doesn't
then
get renewed
Alucard
after that.
saves the day, and
I
no one
know,
has to do
and
anything else.
because that's my main complaint because like it literally is like a complete bailout. I really don't know where they're gonna go with Alucard's character. He's already fleshed out, you know. He's already lived kind of his life. It's like, what does he do now? Is he gonna basically be a teacher to
Yeah,
Richter
pretty
and be
much.
like, "Uh, your ancestor wasn't like that," or something like that? You know, it's like, well, it's kind of like you just kind of toss him in here because he's the only one from the old cast that's alive. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
like,
It's
there's
like,
really
oh,
there's like legitimately no point to him. I think it'd have been better if like we go from this season 1, right? They go into hiding because they have to, you know, and then they do a
yeah,
rebellion, like revolution. You know,
it's
I
the
think that would be good.
rebellion. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's probably the way they should have done it, but I really don't think Alucard should have flown across the English Channel to bail out Richter and his friends. That's dumb.
Well, it's fan service, you know? So,
We
it
have to
is what it
appease the
is.
ladies over here.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. 100%. Um,
But
what else
okay,
have I
so
seen?
let's move on from Castlevania into
Yeah.
One Piece because there has been a big One Piece development in terms of
Oh,
like
yeah,
manga and
yeah.
anime. So we've hit
Yes.
Gear 5. I enjoyed it personally, but the sound
Mhm.
design wasn't the greatest at the end of the day. And that just is a couple of things for me personally. It's just like the cartoony sound effects are fine. It just weren't the right ones when you're doing certain actions, you know?
Right. Yes, I under yeah, 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 there's a bit of a disconnect there, right.
Because like
How
as
did
American
you
viewers, we because you and me grew up with Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, like we grew up with like the end of like the golden age of like classic cartoons, like that kind of
Yeah.
era. So it was kind of like weird to like, yeah, that's not the one you would use in terms of like smashing, like going bang, 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 you know? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's not there are a couple of things I would just say like as an American because this is what it was impersonating basically, you know? It just wasn't what I expected at the end of the day, and it just kind of
Mhm.
ruined it for me, you know? And a lot of the reusing of shots, like, fine, whatever, but, like, a lot of them were kinda I wanna say impersonal or because you see, like, in the next episode, right, we get really great animation, you know? I just kinda
Yeah.
feel like there is a bit of consistency that should happen in terms of, like, this kinda thing where, like, maybe do, like, 3 like big episode stuff for that and then kind of smooth it out with like, oh, you have like other stuff going on with Anami and like Otama and then the whole Jinbei thing, you know, when he just kind of tosses all the water and then they put out the fire, you know?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that from the first episode reveal, I think that did give everyone I think it did its job well in showing off, like, what exactly, like, kind of it is, and then the further along episode like, every episode after that really, like, was like, "This is the crazy shit you can do with it." Like, the first episode there was the introduction, everything after that was just like,
Yeah.
"And now he can catch lightning, and now he
Yeah.
can do this shit."
Yeah.
Um and it's just like it just further goes down the rabbit hole what he can do, and it's just really fun because Oda loves to do this shit. And I love it too, where he gives little hints to what, like, he might be able to do in the future. For instance, this is a spoiler in the manga, I don't know if you're fully
Yeah,
caught up,
I'm
right?
caught up. I'm caught up on the manga. I've gotten
Okay.
to Saturn.
So yeah, so spoiler alert, but, like, when he fights Rob Lucci and, he pulls down his goggles from his hair,
Yeah.
and that's like, what else can he do with that? Like, what the fuck? He can make shit out of thin air? Like, huh?
Yeah. And I think
So
it's
that
kind of funny at the end of the day too, where it's like Luffy was just kind of clowning on him, but then Zoro just like puts him down. That's
yeah.
the best part right there is that you already know that Zoro is kind of like top tier at this point.
Oh, yeah, Zoro is unfucking believably strong. He's so fucking crazy. Wano did so much for Zoro, like,
I think
holy
Wano,
fuck.
yeah,
That was Zoro's, like that I would say, like, if every character had their arc, aside from, well, Sanji had Whole Cake, Zoro had, uh, Wano,
Wano,
and, those yeah, it's just, like, crazy huge developments for both
yeah.
of them. And I'm so excited for the rest of Egghead right now. But yeah, Wano. So I actually just want to get your quick opinion on Wano as a whole. What did you think about it, like overall, just
Ugh.
so far?
It was definitely better than just Rosa in terms
Re-
of anime and manga. In terms of the
okay.
manga, I did enjoy Wano. There were some certain points I was like, yeah, we're just kind of filling before we get to like the major set piece, right? But in terms of the
Yeah.
anime, I love the little additions they went in to like make the whole entire thing feel correct. You know, where it's like we are adding
Yeah.
the sights and sounds to this to like make it feel like it's and the animation style changed as well. Like they completely overhauled everything, and that was probably the best part
Yes.
about that, and that's what I enjoyed about Wano. Is it's such a departure. Like this is the next step of One Piece. You know, like
Yeah.
when we exited Alabasta and Skypiea, right? And then we went to the Annie's lobby stuff. Like that was like the next step of that section. Like this is and then we go from that to Fishman Island. That was that next section, and then this is right here is like the next step. You know, like we kind of
Yeah.
iron out the style and everything. So like we are set for the next like 20 odd years, or whatever.
Yeah. However long Oda needs to,
Yeah.
keep going.
But
Um,
yeah, but that's the thing though. I think manga, if I had to rate it out of 10, probably an 8 for Wano, and then for anime for Wano, I probably rate it
it's the best it's ever looked. I
probably
mean,
a 9
let's
out of 10.
yeah, I would say the same. I think that
And yeah.
Oda has and I think well, it's really like interesting when you look at it from a overall perspective, like how he's changed so much because before everything was a lot simpler. Like it was mainly focused on character action, like his paneling, I meant.
Yeah.
Like where it's focused on like Luffy doing a crazy punch and that would take up a whole page and you could really focus on that. But now it's like huge page spreads of all these characters doing different things and you have to get all of that in like a 16-page chapter and like cover all this shit
Yeah.
and it's can be a bit messy at times. And I think that Wano had to juggle a lot of shit to get it going and to get
Yeah.
it working. And it
'Cause
definitely
you
it
had the
definitely
law and you had the kid stuff. Cause like, we were bouncing, like, around Wano for a long ass time. Like, we were going
yeah,
from Luffy in jail to whatever Sanji was doing, like, and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
we were going back and forth between, like, plot lines, which is great. It keeps the viewer invested. Like, you actually have to watch the episodes and, like, read to, keep on top of this stuff, you know?
yeah. Mhm. Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. And it's important because it's like, okay, well this character's out of the fucking count for now. What are we going on here? And I think Wano as a setting did a great job. I think that uh, what Oda does really well is connect you to the place itself and connect you to the people who live there very well. Case in point, Skypiea, Alabasta.
Yeah. He takes the
Um,
time to, like, develop characters and relationships, you know?
yeah, which is an interesting thing because, well, I'm leading to this, but it's an interesting thing because like he doesn't really give that much information about Kaido in his backstory. It's only a couple quick images. And I mean, to be fair, you could make the
It's
argument
It's
that
like
you
you don't
don't
really
really need it.
need that's my thing. You don't really need to know like the backstory to Kaido's like, oh, like he was basically just sold off to the Navy, escaped, and then became a rock pirate, and then when the rocks fell, he
Yeah.
kind of went off on his own. So it's got like, all right,
Yeah,
so
right. He just does whatever, right? And that makes sense. I mean, that's fair. He's a very simple dude. He just wants to be strong and
yeah,
fight the strongest and fight Joy Boy. And he gets his dream, he gets
yeah.
his
At the
wish.
end of the day, he gets challenge Joy Boy.
Yeah, and, oh man, that was so fucking cool. But yeah, so anyway, I think, yeah, overall, I would agree with you. Wano is, would you say one of the better arcs in overall of One Piece?
Yeah,
Um,
I'd say it's better than Skypiea.
yeah,
It's better than
I would agree with
Skypiea,
you
but
on
it's
that.
slightly better than Dressrosa. Like if the anime and Dressrosa just kind of did condense like a bunch of shit together, I'd be
Mhm.
fine. It'd be better in my opinion. But like for the manga, it's like Gear 4 was a really cool reveal. You know,
Yeah,
like Gear 4 was
Gear 4
probably like
was
the hypest reveal at that time, where it's like, oh shit. Like, cause like this is like the first like major power up post time skip. Like this is like the first
Yeah.
like transformation that we're seeing. Like they
Yeah,
like
like, since Gear 3, like,
yeah.
way, way back when.
And now you don't even
Definitely.
do gear 1 or 2 anymore. You just go straight into 3 and then you're fine.
Yeah. Well, in now cases, he just jumps straight into 5,
5,
and now
yeah.
it's just like, "Fuck it, I'm just rolling with this now," which is so fair.
Yeah.
Because the amount of enemies, holy shit. It's fucking Egghead is wild because of that. But yeah, I would say same thing, one of the better ones, in my opinion. And then one more thing to note from it, how you feel about Yamato as a character, and do you think, like, she should have joined them, the Straw Hats, I mean, like, right away?
So,
I mean,
like her dream was to be Odin. That was her thing.
yeah,
It's more of a, like, I just kinda wanna see the world and experience it because that's her entire thing is, like it's very simple the way she's written. It's like, "I was in prison basically for my entire life. I wanna go explore the world, blah, blah, blah." I kinda think
yeah,
she should have joined the crew at some point to, like, kinda do that, you know?
yeah,
Like, I feel like she
yeah, and it
probably should have, but I don't
mhm,
really at this point, right? It's kinda like, okay, you basically running around with, like, Luffy 1.5 over here, because they be just going off doing whatever they want, which is, like,
right,
not
right,
okay. It just kinda just get into the way. But I liked her as, like, a character. I think it's interesting, and she did really well
mhm,
at the end of the day when face off Kaido. I was not expecting that when she popped up, right, and she claimed to be Odin. I was like, "Oh, shit," like and then I was like, "No, it's like, Kaido's son," and like, "Oh, she's a girl? Cool." And that kinda stuff. So I was like, "Yeah, solid
yeah,
character." I kinda think that overall, she'll probably, pop up near the end or,
yeah, like, she'll probably pop up towards, like, when we're doing the big battle
Yeah.
and, like, they need,
But here's
sudden
the
help
real
coming from the
yeah, exactly.
side.
But here's the real question, right?
Yeah.
Sabo, Vivi, and Wapol. Where are we going with that? That's the bigger question. That's the better
Oh,
part of
yeah.
the story arc right now is that what happened post Revier?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because we have Kuma, who's like, oh my god, by the way, holy shit, Kuma.
Yeah.
So I feel so bad for him. He might come in to save the day, kinda. We'll see what happens with him. Um, but at this point, it's looking rough for everybody. And also Blackbeard's showing up, and that's gonna be a whole fucking thing.
Yeah. 'Cause what,
But
Blackbeard's crew now has pudding, strangely enough somehow? Like, how did that like,
yeah, well, because Big Mom was gone, and I think they just straight
they
up
just straight up
showed
just
up, and they're like, "We're
ransack
just
that
gonna
shit?
kidnap Pudding." Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're like, "We're just gonna kidnap Pudding, so fuck you," and
Exactly.
then they just left.
And also here's my thing too, is like, since Big Mom's dead, right? She's been confirmed dead by, I think, Oda, it's like stuff like that, right?
I wouldn't. I don't know. Like, I can never bet on Oda killing a character because it's like it'd have to be the most long drawn out
Alright, we're gonna
thing,
we're
and
gonna
I just
Google this. We're gonna Google this.
I don't think they're dead. I personally don't think they're dead. I think they're gonna come back at some point and they're gonna be like, "Fuck you, Straw Hat," but also "Fuck you, world government."
Alright, they say it's unclear, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah, if that's the case, I'm 100% believing that they're still alive. 100%. If I just feel it, and maybe they'll die later. I don't know.
yeah, his status remains unknown, so it's just kinda like he written off pretty much. So it's like, yeah, I would
Yeah,
assume
yeah,
they're dead to the point where it's like they're
yeah.
not coming back.
For now. But yeah, for now we can count them out of the story for a while. Except maybe towards the end. I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's so I think this would be a good point for Dragon and the Revolutionary Army to finally step in
make their
into the
move.
main story. Yeah, I think this would
Make
be
your
good
move.
because we're seeing the backstory with him with Kuma and the starting of the revolutionaries. I think this would be perfect time. Like I know that they're like way across other side of the world,
They're at
essentially right
a New
now.
Kama Island or whatever, and that's like
Yeah,
forgot. It's like West Blue or something, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, like they're ways away, but like I don't know. I feel like if they could come up with some way, I mean, they're gonna get to Elbaf. I think that's what they're leading to right now is they're going to
Well, yeah,
Elbaf.
because
Um,
they do signify their go like the next stop after Egghead was Elbaf.
yeah, it's just depending on what happens now, whether they get sent backwards or something happens with Blackbeard. Because that's the thing, it's like Blackbeard is a fucking wild card, and you have
Yeah.
no idea what's gonna happen with him. Um, But you just don't know. Like everything's up in the air right now. There's a fucking elder here, Saint J Garcia or Saint Garcia, whatever the fuck his
Saturn,
name is.
yeah, whatever his name
Saint
is.
Saturn.
But like
Yeah,
here's my
like
here's
his
my
shit's
thing where
wild.
it's like in terms of that, right? Where this is probably going to drag on for a while. That's just how things are most likely going to be written. Like this is probably going to be the next like 50 plus chapters like Kuma, Saturn, and Revolutionary Army. Like that's the next 50 chapters like in this arc, you know? So we have
Maybe.
like
It
probably three
it feels
to
like
4 months of like chapters like this. Because I feel like
I
certain
don't know.
parts of
Yeah.
like Egghead right now are just dragging on. Especially like with things like this where it's like kind of just explaining shit and explanatory.
We're gonna be definitely on the backstory for a little while. I would say like maybe the next two, I want to say three updates may be focused on just the backstory for that.
Mm,
And I don't mind that at all because this is going to be an important backstory, and I need this shit. It'll look very interesting. Um, but I think after that, I think they're gonna shortly leave Egghead after that because it looks like there's just a lot of things going on at this moment that everything's kind of crescendoing into this whole thing,
yeah,
and
everything's starting to
it
kind
may,
of intertwine and come together.
yeah,
Oh
and it
yeah, it's all
feels
coming
like to
together
me
now.
this is like a repeat of what happened with Sabaody. Like after a long journey through the Grand Line, and now through the long journey through the New World, we meet up with Kuma again. Situation's very different from before because guess what? Kizaru's there again, Kuma's there again. But this time they're stronger. They know what they're doing. So I think that it might be one of those situations
Yeah,
again where they either get sent away by Kuma again, or
I don't,
maybe
I
this
don't, I
time
don't, I
they
don't
save him.
think
I have no idea.
I don't think they'll get sent away again. I think they're just gonna escape with Vegapunk. Here's
Yeah,
my
that's what I'm
thing. Do you
assuming.
think Bonnie's gonna die? That's the big question.
No,
No.
no, no. She's too hot. That's the thing. Oda would never kill a hot female character. Let me tell you right now. That's just Oda. I know for a fact he's not gonna kill Bonnie.
All
100%.
right.
He's put too much effort into Bonnie, like with her character. Like, I'm just joking, but I know for a fact that he's definitely not gonna kill her because he's put too much writing into her.
Yeah.
Aside from Yeah, no. I don't think there'd be it would be a waste to kill her right now.
Hmm.
Is what I'm saying. I think
Okay.
it wouldn't because you've built up a
It's not
lot
the
with
time
her.
yet. It's not the
Not
time.
yet. Not yet. Not yet. I think when and if they go to uh Mary Joa or further down the line when they fight off against the celestial dragons, I feel like at that point then she might die. Um and I feel like I don't think anyone's really talking about this much, but I feel like towards the end of the show or series, I mean, Oda's gonna be like, "All right, motherfuckers, you guys have been making jokes about me not killing off characters for the longest time. Well, guess what? I don't have to keep doing that anymore. So I'm just gonna axe half the fucking cast. Bye. And then
Yeah.
you're dead. You're dead. Like that's what I'm imagining. Like Cobra's just a
Yeah.
start. We're going off
Because
the
like
rails
when you
now.
think about it, right? If you're really thinking about like here's like Sabayori 2.0. Like after this, right? We basically go through another entire training arc, and then we get to Paramount War,
Yeah,
right? Like we pretty much get to. This is probably gonna be like the end of One Piece. Will probably be Paramount War 2.0, basically. And it's either going to end
essentially.
up
Yeah.
being the siege of Majuri or like and then or at Raft Tail.
It has to end with them at Raftail, but I think that Menagerie or what's it, the fucking Mary Joa will have to fall first. I think that's going to be the first thing. Like the revolutionaries have to win first.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that is when we get to the One Piece itself. It could happen at the same time. Like maybe for some reason the celestial dragons are like, or and the elders are like, oh, we got to stop them at before they get to Raftail because there's
Yeah.
a reason behind it. And then everyone's there, and we have this big ultimate clash, like the God Valley thing. Like everyone's there, and it's like a huge battle of the ages, which I'm assuming is everyone's just gonna show up towards at the end of the battle, and we're gonna have like crazy amounts of cameos. Like fucking Gaimon's gonna be like, "I'll shoot him!" Bang.
Yeah.
Um, and he kills Shanks. Like, oh my god. No, I'm just kidding.
But that's the thing though. It's kind of like here the end of One Piece is kind of interesting because like at the end of the day, right? We know the One Piece is like a soup, like some sort of like big weapon right where it's like oh the One Piece is very super like this big thing that's gonna change the game because like pretty much Pluton and Neptune or Poseidon whatever the Shirahoshi's called like we already know two of the ancient weapons and basically that kind of stuff is kind of like yeah
Yeah.
shit like that's probably gonna be pretty good and come in clutch at the end of the
I
day.
Yeah, I think it's a culmination. I think it's the hint to what One Piece is lies in the dreams of the rest of the Straw Hats. For instance, Sanji, he wants the all blue. Well, it would make sense that towards the end of the series, we may find it at
Yeah,
Laugh-Tale. Nami wants a map of the world. Well, ancient society that lived for a long time
probably has
could
one.
also probably has one. Usopp wants to be a great warrior.
He
Guess what?
already
They're going to
is.
Elbap. Yeah,
He already is. Fuck that.
he's
No,
alr
his dream's
and
already completed.
he's already going to Elbaf, he's getting his shit there. There you go. Zoro wants to be the greatest swordsman in the world. I mean, probably gonna fight
Mihawk
Mihawk or
again and
whoever
win, and then yeah,
at
Chopper's
towards
probably
the
gonna
end.
find a cure or something, miracle cure for
He's gonna
whatever.
find, like, all the medicine of the world and, like, at Raftel. It's like
Yeah,
and then everything leads to there, like, Robin finds out about the ancient society, like, wouldn't you
Frankie's
know
just
it?
Frankie. He just get to do
I
cool
for
shit.
Yeah, and then Laboon shows up towards the end, yada, 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 but basically, the One Piece to me is a culmination of everybody's dreams. Like it will probably have weapon. Like it'll have probably have all the strong weapons. It'll probably have a bunch of gold. It'll probably have like everything you could imagine.
Yeah.
Either that or nothing could be there. It's just a lie
Because
that Roger
here's the
told.
thing. I don't think because here's the thing, Roger is not the kind of guy who is just like, "Oh, I want to blow shit up and terrorize people," right? You know, because they kind of
No,
say
yeah,
that outright when he visits Fishman Island for like the first time. It's like, "Oh, like I'm not gonna come back for your daughter in like 10 years or whatever." You know, he's like, he just wants
yeah,
to explore the world. He wants to be free, and that's what my theory is. At the end of the day, right, the One Piece is gonna be able to change the world physically, where
yeah.
Luffy will be able to demolish the red line completely. Because my theory
I
is
was thinking,
that
yeah,
Luffy's dream is just to just travel, go around the seas freely, you know? Because like
yeah,
it's an easy, simple thing that I don't think a lot of people are like, oh, like probably will be like, oh, blah blah blah, like really something complex. But like, if you know Luffy, it's like it's probably the most simple answer at the end of the day. It's like I just want to travel and go around and have fun. Like I just want to travel around, you know. And that's just
yeah,
my theory, my headcanon, where it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's kind of like I just want to have fun and like go explore shit, you know. And then he demolishes
yeah,
the calm belt and the red line to have everybody, you know.
yeah. No, I 100% agree because at the end of the day, Luffy is all about freedom, much like Roger. And I think that this is why I also think like they will probably have to destroy Mary Joa first or something of that nature because it's on the red line. And then you'd be taking that down. Like Luffy gets gigantic again and punches it. And then it's like, oh no, he can't break it. He needs help. And then who's coming to save the day but Laboon
Yeah.
breaks through and then like goes from there. But that's a theory I've had for that for a while. But um yeah, like you're saying, like it will I think that the major event will be with the destruction of the red line. I think that will be I agree with you, like that being like the huge event. Because then it's
Well,
like all the world
yeah,
is open and
exactly. There's no
there's
ruling
no borders.
class.
Yeah, there's no borders. Everyone can go where they want. Go crazy.
Exactly.
Um and I'm so excited for that.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Right here, first, folks. Like, if we call it, we're gonna plaster this all over the place. You're like, we were right. We were right
You
about
give
One
us
Piece.
You crown us the kings of One Piece.
Yeah.
You announce us the
We claim the
presidents.
title of King of Pirates at the end of the day.
That's right. That's right. And I also predict Gamon will kill Shanks.
All
I call it
right.
here.
You got it here
Buggy will be
first.
the
All
Buggy will
right.
be the king of the pirates after Luffy. That's what I'm saying.
But that's the thing though, like when we go to Buggy story, like he just fails upwards, to be honest. Like
Oh yeah.
he's just like fucking up and then he just like succeeds somehow. It's like that
Oh
Sonic
yeah.
being
Well,
like, "How are you still alive?" I don't know.
fake it till you make it, man. Like
Exactly.
he's like King from One Punch Man, where he's just like, I have no idea
Yeah.
how I've gotten this far,
I mean, he
but
was caught in the
somehow it's
beginning,
just
you know, like he
yeah,
failed and like he was kept away, but then we got back to him. It was like, yeah, he's just failing upwards at this point.
yeah, exactly. Like he's gone from prison to Emperor of the Sea, and it's just
Yeah.
like, huh?
Like, what the fuck?
And I love the dynamic with him, Crocodile and Mihawk, and they're
Yeah.
just like,
You
"What the
know,
fuck are
those
you
are
doing?"
way more powerful characters than Buggy is, but like for the whole entire like show part of it, Buggy is like the face.
Yeah, bro, this whole time I've been waiting for Mihawk to just like show off, like truly how epically powerful he is. I mean, we did see in the war, kind of,
Yeah.
but like I want to see it like comparatively, like to the Shanks moment with Kid, just be like, oh, that level, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck, you know. So I'm excited for that. And I wonder. I guess he's got to have Conqueror's hockey, right?
Who? Kid?
Or Mihawk.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's already kind of confirmed that he already has it. He just doesn't really need to use it though.
Yeah, it'd be weird if he didn't and like Zoro did. It'd be like, huh? So he
Yeah.
just did all of that without Conqueror's hockey. That's fucking what
Which is
wild.
pretty cool to be honest. Like he like the even like base level like shit, you know? Like a lot of
Yeah, really.
just regular humans can just like nail whatever.
Yeah. Like case in point, I mean he's insane, but Garp like just hockey alone is like
And he's like it kind
Jesus
of just
Christ.
standpoint like proves like you don't need a devil fruit to be successful.
Yeah. Like and that was him when he was an old man. Imagine
Yeah.
like Prime Garp. Holy shit.
And now
That would be
basically
crazy.
just it's just Kobe now. You know, it
Yeah.
basically is just
Now
Kobe. Kobe's Carp 2.0.
I know. I remember people were so pissed at Kobe when like the chapter when the chapter like of Garp getting stabbed and
Yeah.
everyone's like,
Well, it's
he's a
like
fucking idiot. Got it. And then everyone's like, oh, he's actually kind of cool. He punched the fist. I mean, that was
yeah,
pretty sick. And then everyone just forgot.
yeah. But on that note, I think this is a good place to end. So
Yeah.
it's been fun talking One Piece again.
It's been a long time, too long. I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys later. All right. So bye.